Hey everyone, just wanted to do a quick review of this playable demo for Hollowbody, which is a new indie survival horror game I've been following for, at least a year. Sorry for my voice sounding weird, I'm recovering from a bronchial infection. Described as a tech-noir homage to classic survival horror inspired by Silent Hill 3, Hollowbody in many ways is exactly what I've been talking about when it comes to modernizing the classic formula that so many of us survival horror fans love. On a daily basis, I hear from at least one person about how fixed camera survival horror games are not only outdated, but objectively bad, and only made because of technological limitations at the time. Well, I've got news for you. That doesn't make something bad. 2D fighters were made when 3D wasn't possible yet, so were 2D platformers. In an age when every horror game insists on having the same tight over-the-shoulder camera and combat focused on precision aiming and headshots, it's incredibly refreshing anytime a new game comes out in the indie space that bucks the trend and dares to try to evolve the original camera style of this genre. And with the technology of today, we can do so much. We can go as lo-fi as we want, making brand new games in 320p resolution and static angle painted backgrounds and tank controls like Elisa. And we can make hybrids of a character-following camera mixed with various fixed angles for dramatic purposes, like the upcoming Heartworm. And now we have the ability to make games that have the classic 90s pixelated look for nostalgic purposes, or present them smoothly if you're looking for clarity. Tormented Souls, released a few years ago, having gorgeous graphics, shows how modern control schemes can work well with a stylized and fixed camera. And now there's Hollowbody, set for release in the first part of 2024, and judging by the demo, it's shaping up to be exactly the kind of game I would recommend to someone who is interested in a classic survival horror experience, but doesn't want to use tank controls, though this game offers modern and tank controls for both audiences. The majority of the time the camera is following the character, like it would in a classic Silent Hill game, but occasionally it'll switch to a fixed angle for artistic purposes, which I'm a big fan of, or to draw your attention to something. See here how the camera cuts to an above angle so you can see the tracks on the ground from where a dumpster was moved, so you know to push it to be able to climb up to the building. For the most part, this hybrid camera system works really well, though it can be a little disorienting when navigating small rooms, which is the same problem classic Silent Hill camera had in the early 2000s. I think I'd like to see these smaller spaces presented in static angles over a moving camera, just so the camera isn't swinging around so much.
Mayo, will you stop talking about the fucking camera already?
Okay, I'm sorry. So there isn't much to say about the story at this point. It's in the future, there's flying cars and personal robots. You're a chick named Mika looking for your friend Sasha. You've crash-landed in an economically devastated area of town after some kind of hack shut down your vehicle. And you're exploring, as you do in a survival horror game. There are a few notes to be found about a community restoration project, but there's not much to be learned from this demo. Hollowbody takes its time getting started, walking your way to the apartment complex in search of higher ground to use your radio. The first troubling thing you come across, if you're exploring, is an apartment resident in the back of the parking lot, now a corpse, appearing to have died from blood loss. And you get this cool live readout of who he was, his date of birth, occupation, cause of death. I hope this kind of information is useful in figuring stuff out later in the game. Exploring the apartment, you come across other unfortunate victims of whatever happened here. Some who died of acute dehydration. Pretty weird for a person with their head twisted like this. Eventually, you come across a keycard that lets you into a room with a hole in the floor, and you jump down a level. Reaching the lower level, you receive an eerie phone call from what sounds like an AI, but with a glitchy voice, speaking about things that refuse to die. Pretty creepy stuff. Related to what took down your flying car, perhaps? You remove a radiator from the bathroom wall and use a hammer to break through. The hammer was found in a very creepy painting of what looks like Siamese twins ripped in half by the hammer. You break through to the next hallway and make your way around until you come across a creepy monster munching on a corpse. It attacks you and you shoot it dead. The revolver feels great to use, it sounds punchy, the enemy reacts great, and in Silent Hill tradition, you can stomp it dead when it's on the ground. Enemies absolutely can hurt you while crawling on the ground, so there's good reason to finish them off. In this room is a puzzle to unlock a safe in the wall, and I'll admit it threw me at first. I'm so used to survival horror games that typically start with simple puzzles before ramping up. For example, the game Heartworm I mentioned, the demo has a clock puzzle, and the answer is just to find this poem where at the bottom it says the time. You put that time in, now the clock opens the secret wall. Pretty damn simple. Too simple if you ask me. But hey, it's the beginning of the game, I can let something like that slide. In Hollowbody, this is closer to Tormented Souls level of thinking, requiring 4 pieces of information, reasoning skills, and math. I honestly wasn't prepared for it, but knowing the puzzles are going to include this level of thinking has me really excited for the game. Getting the key from the safe allows you access through the gate at the end of the hallway, where 2 more monsters are waiting for you, and this is where the first real issue with Hollowbody presents itself. Lock-on targeting. There's no way to cycle targets while aiming. I hope to God it's not like this when the game comes out. It's incredibly frustrating to not be able to choose who I'm shooting at, switching targets on the fly. Anyway, you get past these guys, open the gate, and the demo is over. Sold! This is all I need to see. I want it now. It's creepy, it has classic survival horror mechanics, the camera is really nice for the most part, and the location is interesting. Not only is this town abandoned and broken down, but it's war damaged. There's even a missile lodged into the floor in the apartment. I hope we get lots of context for what we see in this game. Before I go, in case the developer is watching, I'll just voice a few more points. There's no way to reload while aiming, and I think that's going to be an important feature. You have to reload in the inventory if you're not completely out of ammo, and I think that's unnecessary. When turning around, you have to walk forward a bit and wait for the camera to catch up. This is going to be really frustrating when running away from enemies to make space and then turn around and shoot, because you're giving them all this time to catch up to you, and you're having to walk towards them just to refocus the camera. There needs to be some quick way to recenter the camera, and especially to do a quick 180 turn that also spins the camera around. I see in the controls that there's a recenter button, but it doesn't do anything, so maybe this exact feature just isn't ready yet. Lastly, the enemies are incredibly easy to stun lock with melee. Just mindlessly swinging away, I never got hit once. This is going to make combat really one-dimensional, at least versus the common enemies. There's no reason to use your ammo, so why worry about becoming overloaded with resources? I hope a lot of focus is being put on this stuff before the game comes out. So yeah, check out Hollowbody. I have high hopes for it. Again, sorry for my voice.